So kind.
I vote so.
In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Public Access Cable Committee is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube after the meeting. This meeting is being held in person at the location provided in this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person rather than virtual attendance accordingly. Zoom information is in the notice. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. First item on the agenda is the roll call. So roll call, Mr. Serapis, are you here?
Just walk, yes.
You did a beautiful job of timing that. I
Yes.
appreciate that. So, Mr. Lincoln,
Been here quite a while.
Yes, you have.
Mr. Ashenbaugh,
Present.
one of these days I'll pronounce that right. Ms. Faith
Present.
and Joe,
Accounted for.
are you here as a representative of all the staff of public access?
I am.
And Steve Walker is here as well. Are there any public comments? Do we have any public?
No.
Hearing none, do we have any committee comments?
Paul, do you want to make your comment? About this now?
That should come up in the agenda.
It's actually on the agenda.
Is it on the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have one comment. I listened to the building committee's last report. And by all, it sounds like we're staying in Pascal's.
Or we're in the Ritter.
Oh, there is gonna be all town offices.
The last one I listened to,
This
they were
is the-
talking of
The
us in the
latest
Ritter.
one. No,
So. Well, hopefully we'll be part of the process at the right time.
Hmm. Yes, hopefully.
because there's no way they're gonna get all those town offices in the river. No
No,
way.
The last meeting of theirs that I listened to, they were more concerned with making sure that they could do building upgrades without triggering.
And they were using the town hall for office.
storage.
Not storage so much as art displays
Oh.
and for groups to just use, but no town officials in it at all.
Oh, that's a good
That's the
idea.
last thing. This is the last meeting we just had.
Wow.
What
Well,
about
It sounded
the
like we were gonna stay in the best.
large meeting room? What about that? The one that they do the select board meetings from? And you talk
They
about
could
where
probably
that would
rent
go.
that out.
That would go to a different place as well.
Yeah.
Okay, any
Call it
further
the
committee
gym.
comments?
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Any further committee comments? Hearing none, does anyone have any communications they wish to bring up at this time? Hearing none, the minutes were sent out about 15 minutes later than usual, but thank you, Steve. You're welcome. I don't know how you do.
I don't know how he does it either.
I won't do it tonight. I gotta do something else tonight, but I will send it out tomorrow sometime.
We do appreciate it.
Yes, you
Yeah.
do.
Did anyone have any comments on the minutes which you all should have received?
Is the leak in the studio the fixed, Joe?
Yeah.
I was in there, but I didn't notice.
Yeah, I mean, they're not doing any cosmetic fixes on it. As far as what the ceiling looks like on the inside,
But it's not
I
gonna leak.
haven't heard
It
much.
won't leak anymore though.
That's what they say. They found 3 holes up there
Oh,
and a drain pipe issue.
what about the floors?
Floors I have to follow up on. I don't know where that stands right now.
Anyone have any further comments, questions, clarifications on the minutes? Hearing none, I would appreciate
I'll make a motion to
Second.
approve the minutes as submitted.
Pete. Any further discussion? Hearing none. By roll call as we're on Zoom, Mr. Sarafas.
Aye.
Mr. Lee,
Aye.
Mr. Ashenbach,
Aye.
and Ms. Beal,
Aye.
and myself, I thank you.
Steve, you're a wonder with these things.
What?
You're a wonder with these minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, copy and paste, it's not hard. It's not hard, but thank you for the compliment.
Yes. But you follow through so nicely.
Okay, we move on to the managers monthly report.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't make a list of everything this month. I was busy working on the, annual report, so I didn't get around to making a list, but just off the top of my head, just, doing day-to-day administrative work. We're still doing basketball games. Of course, we can't stream them because of the equipment at the school. It does not communicate with the equipment at town hall, which has been an issue. But we're still doing those games.
Can we make that an issue? In other words, can we bring that up that somehow PAC has to have access properly from the school, from DC Passios to wherever our server head end is, which is the town hall?
Right, they're well aware of it. Heather's aware of it.
Heather's aware of
Nancy
it.
is aware of it. Everyone is aware of
But
it.
they're not doing anything.
It's been stalled, the project to upgrade the networking equipment at the school to communicate over here has been stalled.
Because of any idea? Well, they just,
Because of, I couldn't tell you,
no, that's why I was asking if you happen to know.
no.
So would this have any connection to the issues at the meeting that we'll be talking about later on?
Perhaps, but it's not definitely. They did a workaround to allow that to happen. So the communication wasn't from the school over to town hall. It was from that port in the school directly to Arcastis,
Which is at the Passios.
which is a town hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The
so,
Problem is the town has two networks that don't like each other.
right, and they're working on it.
There's an educational one, there's a town one. We've got half our work is on the town one and half our work is on the school one. So I'm a little nuts. Thank you, John.
Okay, to go through the packet that I gave you, there was nothing of any note as far as spending. Under January. Sorry, the next page is upside down.
Mine isn't.
Okay. That's the monthly report on the second page. The town financial report that I get the information from follows. As we're going to talk about, and you know, just to mention, we did do a 4-camera shoot for the selectmen meeting on January 17th. That's on the calendar. We did,
Can I just mention also at very short notice?
very short notice.
That because we have had practice at town meetings,
Mhm.
despite one of the issues we did have, I thought. Back being you and your crew did a good job, so thank you.
Second,
Well, thank you.
I was there, and everyone was working extremely hard.
Yeah, the staff is really committed and really, really hardworking, so I appreciate their work. As far as February, we're gonna be doing a couple of talking baseballs in February.
We did one and we're gonna have to change the other one because Jason's in a play. I think I might have told you that. And we did one on February 2nd. So next one will have to be in March, early March,
Oh,
okay?
okay, so I'll
Maybe
remove,
just scratch that.
okay,
I'll let you know.
okay.
So
Yeah.
you're doing the second or you're not doing the second,
We already did it.
right?
It's Groundhog Day. It's keep happening every day.
No, she didn't mean the date the second, she meant a second episode in February.
Oh,
You're not
no,
doing it.
no, no. I already did. It's keep-
Question about the 8th Water District meeting, if that is not Zoom or live streaming, that is videotaped and put up later,
Yes,
but as a matter of routine, they ask for and get those meetings taped.
well, we actually asked them a few years ago. And they were open to it, so it wasn't like they requested it, we had a selectman ask if we could do those meetings, so.
Is that selectman still on the board or
No,
then is it something that needs to be done then?
it doesn't hurt, people do watch it on YouTube. So, I
I'm
think-
just thinking, you know,
yeah,
if you have trouble with staff and, you know, having enough staff to do things, that could be one less thing you'd have to cover if it's not totally necessary.
right.
I think it is pretty necessary though, because there was fairly controversial meeting back in October, yeah, so they are, I think folks are wanting to pay very close attention. Right now.
Okay.
But hearing what you're saying, it might not hurt to have someone from the select board ask them to ask us kind of thing.
Yeah,
Not sure that's necessary.
Okay, just keep going.
All right, once we start, just keep on going. Plus, I think Taylor kind of is good with that one because
Yeah,
other than recently, they're usually quite uncontroversial. So, they changed the rules recently.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Meanwhile, back at the managers.
the January program analysis listing all the programs that we have. We're holding it 66% local programming,
Very good.
which is what we're typically at. We've gone up to 70, we've almost reached 80 at certain points, but 66 is right around what we normally do. The next item is a postmortem on the January 17th tax assessment select board meeting. And I guess that's on the agenda, but we can go through it later.
Yeah, that's what we should do.
And the next item on here is a rough draft of the annual town report that I put together. A lot of the information is from last year, but there's different things in there. So I need everyone to take a look at that report and give me your input so I can update it. It's due February 16th.
So not right now, you mean?
No,
No, real soon though.
very soon. You can email me, do not email all. And I will go ahead and put in the edits that you requested.
But you can email all, as long as nobody replies to that.
Ah, that's true.
I mean, it may help if we each see other comments. But anyway.
Yeah.
Very good.
So,
Handsome looking.
Yeah.
so
Pretty pie chart.
that's all I have. If you have any questions.
I'm just wondering if anyone sort of, I want a better word from the outside, were to look at. The 22 revenue versus expenses, that. The total would appear to show that there is a surplus of 297K.
Where are you
What's it
looking
called?
at?
I'm looking at the
Financial.
Financial?
financial,
Okay.
yeah. And I only bring it up because I'm just curious if the questions ever come up from people in the town, of like, what are you doing with that money? Why do you get to keep it? You're costing us money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm, yeah,
Well, it's
So-
an honest reflection of the cash that we have. Well, we have more cash.
No,
right?
I say this doesn't even mention.
Well, it's not, yeah, it's not.
The
our
studio,
reserves and-
right.
Yeah,
This is just for the year,
this is
So-
based on the
Right.
yearly.
year to
budget.
year.
I think at the top,
Yeah.
it shows that our income is received from Comcast in quarterly payments and
Yes,
deposit to the enterprise fund. I mean, you might just want to put in a note that, no expense is coming from the town.
that's actually what I was trying to get
In
at.
fact,
Yeah.
the,
It-
in
it-
fact, PAC pays rent
Yeah.
No,
for
Don't
its
set
space.
these up. Come on, we're getting more part of it.
Yes,
I can't take two hassles in one day.
yes.
I think that. I mean, under the title financials, the first sentence says it, impact receives
think
it
it
then down
does
from
too.
Comcast.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I just read
Yeah.
that and that's, I agree with you, except that,
To fix that, go to line items as a percentage and then lease paid to town,
yeah,
Put paid to town.
paid to town,
And bear in mind, this is also the year before last.
right,
This is FY 22.
right.
yeah,
We're in the middle of FY 23.
No, but if you're concerned that
yeah,
the town is charging us, you can put lease
Yeah,
paid to town. There you go, that's one of our expenses, we have to pay the town.
or you could say PAC received all of its income from Comcast.
No, because we get it from interest also,
right.
Oh, okay. Right,
receives a
Okay.
majority of it. And, yeah, and it says end monthly interest payments,
yeah,
the town isn't even
When you
mentioned.
think about
Right.
it, if you still have a concern, if you put it in an email to Jude.
yeah, I'm just trying to think,
Yeah.
something while we're here and,
Well, we're going to get to the
other
budget
things
in a
to
minute and the points you're
discuss.
raising.
but
Yeah,
it's
sure.
just, is self-funded. Maybe you say,
No, we're not.
We're not.
or,
Interesting term.
yeah, you know what I'm trying to
guess-
say is,
I guess, I mean, there's two ways to do it. You can spoon feed the reader and give them every little detail or say, maybe they have some intelligence and.
yeah, but I don't think they do, honestly.
Well, no, you
Most
have a
people,
point.
most people read it at an 8th grade reading level.
Oh, they're not that good. Oh, sorry.
And you need, as a communicator, to reiterate things a few times to have them stick. And with all the times that I've been out, and it's not as many as I would like, that I've been to town meetings, people always, think that the town is paying for this and they just don't have a clear vision of it. So I don't think that kind of redundancy will hurt anything.
When we talk about the latest meeting, and I share some feedback, I got
Okay.
from some people who talked to me, I'm gonna reiterate that. and
Okay.
Come back to that, so I think people think, why aren't you asking for more money if you spent that work?
Yeah, right, okay,
Yeah.
good point.
This isn't the document that most people would go to typically. Because we have much more information when we actually do things like the budget.
Yeah,
And any minute, you're going to get the budget presentation.
yes,
which covers, I think, what you're talking about.
Okay, then I will defer.
So everybody, please make an attempt to scan through it, send comments as you wish to everybody, do not reply, or just to Joe as you wish. And Joe will assemble this into something really quite amazing.
Hope so.
I just get so frustrated because it's so old when we get to put it together.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
Yeah. But it looks really good from, a quick,
To be fair, ours is
Quick
one of the
over.
better ones in that book.
yeah,
I think so.
This goes in the glossy town book.
yeah. Oh, good job.
Mm.
I remember what was much shorter. I have,
No, we've always had a long one. Other people have short ones.
yeah, no, but I have some old ones. I think I
Yeah.
still have them from the 10
Okay,
years ago.
anything else you wish to throw in the pot, Joe?
Not at the moment.
Could I just mention one thing?
Sure.
That piece of test equipment we tried to buy. First off, gave it back to Joe because the wrong thing was in the box. And somebody who should remain nameless, because it might have been me, put it right under where the water was planning to come in, so the box got wet.
Oh.
In the meantime, they kindly sent us another one because that was the wrong one. So Joe sent the wet one back and B&H kindly accepted it as was. These things, it's an accident. And I opened up the new one actually at our last meeting and it was the same as the old one. So Joe sent that back again.
Oh,
So I'm now, despite your kindness at saying, let's get one of these testers, now having another go at finding one that'll really do the job we want. So that's still an open item. That's the only reason I mentioned. So, yeah, that's. been a
Speaking of
pain
wet
in the
ones, you all
picture.
hear what happened at the senior center?
no.
When the sprinklers went off and drowned the place.
Oh,
Which places?
Oh,
It was at the Eagle House
Oh,
during the freeze.
oh, no.
And one whole corner was the kitchen corner
Oh.
and Bucky's corner.
yeah.
They're in the process of replacing it.
Oh, this past Thursday, Friday,
Yeah.
big freeze.
Yeah.
Wow.
For insurance.
And the only way,
coverage.
the only way they knew is Sue got an alarm that there was, motion in there. Unfortunately, the door comes out to where Bucky's corner was closed. So it didn't sprinkle out there and ruin the furniture. But the whole kitchen ceiling is all,
And you don't want to get mold in there. either.
that's exactly it. And so it's got to close the building.
Oh,
Meanwhile, back at the ranch. The next thing is the preliminary budget review.
No, it's the select board meeting broadcast.
On my agenda, I've got manager's monthly report, then PAC preliminary budget review.
Yeah, so I do that too.
Do I have
I
the
don't
wrong
have
one?
that.
I have the same that Steve had.
I have the same that Steve
Yeah,
had.
this is the one I sent out one 3 weeks ago.
You know,
And then Paul asked to have something added, and so I sent a new one. So you probably printed the first one I sent.
yeah.
But why would it have it out of order? Because it was already on the agenda? I wouldn't.
No,
have-
this is the newest one. It's
Right.
only a week and a half old, so I sent this to town hall. This is what's posted.
You sent it on the
Okay,
23rd.
but that's the only one. That's the only copy.
Okay, well, I'll pull it up.
So what's next on the agenda? Mr.
This,
Secretary?
Paul had asked a review of the January 17th select board meeting broadcast.
Oh,
The COVID spreader.
well, I'm happy to do that if that's posted.
It's,
His letter.
if you want to see.
No, I trust you, absolutely.
But that's why I thought Joe put the
That's the letter.
postmortem in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. okay. I'm just trying to understand what you mean by COVID spreader.
Oh, everyone ended up. with
Everyone
COVID
got
after
COVID
that.
after.
Oh,
Not everybody, but a
A
lot.
lot of people.
wow.
Yeah.
We did.
Oh.
I had-
And a bunch of neighbors.
Oh, it's just.
As if it
The
wasn't
one,
aggravating
it
enough.
was the one that was in the town hall because everyone was packed right on top of everybody.
Oh, you think that?
And the girl sitting next to me from Lake Shirley, which coughed in my face for 3,
Ah.
and it went 4 hours. And it wasn't just,
Yeah.
casual passing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be tomorrow.
I thought you was calling me a public.
No, I wasn't. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry if
No.
it sounded that way.
No, I get the joke now.
Okay, well, in that case, having totally lost control of this meeting.
Not yet.
What do you mean, not yet? Joe, would you care to address that page that you put in your report called?
Sure.
Meeting tax assessment post-mortem.
Yeah, it is what it is there. I put an overview that we had our AV matrix hooked up as usual with the cameras and hooked into the auditorium audio. Everything seemed fine. The audio looked like it was on the low side, but it sounded okay through the headphones, so we were pretty confident that it was working fine. As I mentioned earlier, the IT department did a workaround so that we could reach the Castis to send a live broadcast out. And we were asked to do Zoom. However, if I was to do the Zoom, it would only show me. And what Heather wanted was a view of the audience. So IT hooked up a camera and hooked into Zoom. And unfortunately, all kinds of things went wrong with that. So,
Oh, did it? I didn't know that.
yeah, what happened was, when there was any kind of modulation in the audio in the auditorium, his Zoom camera shut down audio.
Was it judging what people were saying, do you think?
It melted.
Artificial intelligence, AI censoring, AI.
Okay, but that was out of our control.
That was out of our control.
We actually did have a laptop looking towards the stage. With Zoom on it. That we had set up as a backup, but I didn't know.
Well, we had turned it around, but the resolution was so bad, it wasn't catching the whole
Oh, I know.
auditorium, and it was,
We didn't expect anything from, it was more of
it was,
backup, but it
right, it was
wasn't
an
wasn't
attempt,
used, right?
right.
Okay.
Um,
Could I make one comment on the audio? And that is, if you listen to the YouTube version of it, the audio was the right kind of level and was reasonably clear. So that meant to me, when it got as far as the AV matrix, where we were recording it as well, we certainly had good audio to that point. So
We did.
Just making my comment.
yeah, we did.
You also spent quite a while repairing the audio before you put it up to YouTube, I think you told me. You had to boost it.
We didn't boost it, but as I mentioned, the audio levels looked very low on the screen. And we were trying to get those increased. We got them up somewhat. But it turned out the final footage that we got with the audio to that footage, that it sounded fine. And it sounded fine in the headphones, so we ended up at the right place. Castis connection was initially successful. As I mentioned, the IT camera for Zoom was working initially. An hour into the meeting, the recording for Castis froze and the clock stopped on the Castis, and it wouldn't restart for another hour or so. I kept trying to restart it and restart it. It turned out that, as mentioned under number 4, that someone was texted who was viewing from home and said that the video was coming through, even though on my end, the Castis was frozen. The quality of that video coming through was not good. Neither was the audio. So there was really nothing we could do about it at that point. Castis was struggling because it wasn't just sending out, or it wasn't just recording to one output file. At the end of the meeting, I went into the recording folder to see what Castus actually recorded, and there were 18 files. From 2 seconds to 20 minutes to, so it was choppy the whole time. We don't know if it's hard to tell if we had a bandwidth problem or an encoder problem because of the school network. I don't know if it was something due to the school network or something due to Castus. We did contact Castus. Steve and I had a phone conference with them. They seem to think that our RAM was running low, which would cause a disruption in the service. That could have been, possibly could have been it. It's,
What are they doing about that?
well, they're gonna send us some RAM. We haven't received
We
it
haven't
yet.
seen it yet.
No, I have to get in contact
They
with
must
them.
have forgotten where the memory is.
And I better not forget to call them tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been one of those.
But they're gonna send us more RAM.
Like half as much again or as much again? I mean, it's a lot.
I thought it was half as much. Not
But
sure. I have to
It
double
was
check.
terabytes. And the price is altogether now free,
0.
which kind of confuses me, but.
And we learned different ways to hold down the eating up of all the storage that can go on with the broadcast. So we're gonna, I'm going to have to make a few changes in the control room where we don't use the Castus console. We're gonna use a remote laptop, which doesn't eat as much space on the computer. And do a couple of things there so that we're able to keep the RAM at a decent level. So until we test again and see what IT has in store for the network at the school and the connection to town hall, it's all really guesswork right now.
We do have one test to do, which was the encoder.
We have to do an encoder test.
And I have some thoughts I can share with you, because I don't know how we can do it, but I think we can come up with 3 different tests that'll help us understand if that's an asset or a pain in the patootie, you know.
It's a fairly new encoder.
That doesn't necessarily help anything if it's
Not
either
working.
set wrong or no, you know, not matching the input to the output correctly. So there
Right.
are lots of settings in there,
Right, right.
which is, I hate those damn things, but aside from that, I have no opinion.
Now, was there anything like backups that caused, the storage? Was it,
That's a really good question. I would have to ask IT. If there was a backup at town hall during this time,
What I don't know is
although I don't know if it
if
would affect the
IT gave
cast.
us a direct Ethernet connection to the town hall,
Right,
or they put us onto the school network and reconfigured it somewhere else, could be anywhere, to make the connection to town hall. And without knowing that, it's difficult to know who to blame, but it's worth asking the question. So that's
it's
good.
definitely worth asking the question.
Is there any ability to have any audio redundancy built into it going forward? So that if the Castus fails, there's still an audio signal going so that at home people could see nothing or a blank screen, but still be able to hear what's being said?
I didn't have that set up.
No, I'm just wondering if,
Can we do it?
can we do it?
We would just have to have an audio recorder.
Well, to do it live stream would be difficult because it's the audio and video are embedded together,
Mm.
traveling basically on the same Ethernet. We'd have to set up an independent
channel.
Ethernet channel rate to get it through, but I'm not sure how happy the casters would be. Part of the problem was Joe couldn't talk to the casters from the auditorium. That left her without a lot of options.
Yeah, that must have been so frustrating.
It was frustrating, but
Mhm,
at one point, it's like, I cannot do anything,
mhm.
Yeah.
so. You know,
So, I mean, what I'm gonna say is, devil's advocate, just messenger, not, you
Yeah.
know, the deliver, I'm just delivering a message, but, you know, some of the blowback from the public was, this always seems to happen when there's big town meetings.
Mm.
And, you know, ranging from that to conspiracy theories like, oh gee, they really kind of meant that to happen, you know, which is, you know, that's nuts, but. Well, I did talk to a few people, and they're like, this always happens, why can't they fix it, why won't they fix it? $73 million school, so that means, when I engage back with them, I'm like, well, who's the they? There's people who are running the meeting and running the audio board at the meeting, and they're giving us a feed, and that feed is then what's going out over the casters, over the cable. You guys should be asking for more money if you need it to fix your problem. That's a pushback I'm getting from people in the community as well, so.
Bear in mind, have we live streamed from the auditorium before?
once,
By mistake, but have we
Right.
actually? Don't tell people that.
right, somebody was supposed to hit record and they had to go live
Right,
instead.
because town meetings are not broadcast live. We do not put them up on the cable system.
So,
So we haven't done this before. This is
interesting,
the
okay, because
first-
it's, as a member of this committee and seeing how hard everyone's working, it was getting pretty frustrating for me to see all the yelling and screaming going
Yeah.
on in social media about like, you know, you
Yeah.
guys did a bad job and how come you can't get it right?
Mhm.
I happened to tune into some meeting that was happening in, what's the room called over at Town Hall where they have
Balada,
the Bellata room. The audio was like just fantastic, you know, anything coming out of there. So then it begged the question is like, if they want to have some sort of a live meeting broadcast, why don't they do it from there? Well, they can't hold, you know,
That many people.
that many people. Why couldn't they still have the meeting from there and have people participate remotely? That might be the way around it. So
Or what
just hearing
about,
that, this was the first
Oh, I
time it was
know.
done. Now I'm starting to feel like, well, that's too big of an ask from the town for us to be able to broadcast live. We're like, oh yeah, we think we can do it, but
We got part of that day to set up and test it.
you did, and
That's
again,
what we had.
it
and
tested fine, I mean,
that's,
Well, that's true as well.
that's right,
It
and I
tested
mean,
fine.
I've lived this many times, like you set it up and you test it, you test it, you test it, and then all of a sudden when it's, you know, game time, then
yeah,
it fails.
well, I received a request from the town manager to meet with her, the IT networking person. And our IT contractor, Sizer. And we have not had that meeting yet, it's probably gonna
haven't you?
happen
Oh,
this
I
week.
see. Okay,
So I can get a little bit more information on the
do you
IT
want to invite me?
piece of it. Do you want to join?
No, but I think I should be there. It might be useful.
Okay,
So does Sizer have
fine.
overview or purview or whatever, is it near Ballywick to be dealing with all the audio reinforcement of the auditorium? That's part of their gig?
That's not us.
I know, is it, I'm asking whose is it?
well,
That's the
there's
school.
one IT person that works directly with the town. He's a network administrator. And he tends to manage everything over at the auditorium,
But does he
with
not-
the assistance of Casey Chisholm, who works for Sizer. But I'm not clear what Sizer's role is there. I believe it's the same as the IT network administrator, but I don't want to say that because I'm not sure.
So the school has no staff to provide audio reinforcement for big town meetings.
Not to my knowledge.
It
They're in
doesn't,
the process of trying to find someone.
So we
Dan-
have the
Dan
in-house,
did-
you know, whatever play.
Dan managed the audio board in the control room.
Yes,
one of the issues was the board wasn't managed actively. And if you
That's a
have
big issue.
microphones being passed around and people hold them out here and, you know, and then they talk to somebody over there. Other people stick it slightly up their nose and that tends to muffle the sound, especially if they have a beard.
Yeah,
So, but that's on our boundary. We get an audio feed out of that board. And what comes out of that wire
is what you
is,
got.
we do the best we can with it. Because putting another board in series with it is not the smartest of moves. We do have a tiny one, but it's not one that would, unless we put someone on it full time.
But
to
that's,
run it.
that's still downstream from the board, so if there's not
Right.
someone monitoring the
If
main
someone-
board,
If someone on the board was doing what a sound engineer should do,
right,
and I know a very good one if you want to borrow one. This is what Joshua wants to do. He wants to be a sound engineer. It's my grandson.
Mhm,
He does it for his church on a board this big.
Nice.
So we'll bring him in next time. But they need to, somebody needs to take responsibility for that board. So the audio that's floating around and is the PA system and is the microphones is out of our bailiwick, good choice of word, I like that. And we get a stable, good quality, proper level signal. And then Channel 5 comes and plugs their damn tower.
Does
camera into it.
someone run the board during town meetings?
Yeah, Dan manages that, or I think Casey has, I'm not sure, but I know Dan has,
I've seen them up there, yes.
yeah, and I have to
You've
even,
seen
say,
some.
even the house audio that night was not great. It wasn't,
No.
so that's where I keep coming back to that question, is like, you're getting a feed from the board, well, it's, the board feeds mediocre,
Well, it wasn't that good.
no, it wasn't that good.
well, the high school isn't new anymore, and that
That's true,
technology
right?
is probably starting to become obsolete.
Oh, no.
I think
Want
it's just
someone
because
to
you have
write.
somebody working the board, I mean, like, they just gonna sit there and, you know,
That's the issue.
attenuate the volume as it comes and goes.
The, when they put the board in, they had, the company came in and balanced the board and preset it up to everything it needed to work
Oh, did
properly.
they
Yeah,
really?
they did that. And
Wow.
about 8 months later, a couple of students were running the board and deleted every,
Okay.
and there was a parent who finally found the manual, and a parent tried to reconstruct it best they can. So my thought is, as you're talking about the audio feed, it's, I've noticed issues with the sound there also. I'm sure they have come up with some patches to get around, but they haven't tuned it to the auditorium.
Should they bring the piano tuner back in?
Yeah, they could do that, yeah. But that's probably one of the issues, even running the board, you're gonna get it's not gonna work at 100% because they've recreate, it's my understanding, and I could be off on that, but they've recreated the best they can. But it's not the company with the devices and the testing and the, you know, the equipment out there listening and tuning. Often I hear with the cordless mics, phasing in and out depending on where the mics are.
Great.
Where when they tuned all of that, it was set up so the mics worked at 100% everywhere. So as you know, with cordless mics, there are, you know,
Issues.
sound cancellation issues.
Yes,
And all of that was lost. So, so I just say that there's the audio feed, they're doing the best they can. It could be a lot better, I'm, in my professional opinion,
Do
if
do you happen to know if the company that did that is still in business?
they did as part of the building project. I don't know what the company is.
Yeah, no, it's, because it sounds like they need to come back in and.
Yeah,
redo
and that's a
that.
cost, and that's,
Oh,
I know, but it's not a priority item because they have it
That's the
kind of
issue.
working. They have it kind of working
right.
and it's working, but I've noticed a lot of issues with the wireless mics there.
which, yeah, and just as you
It's
described.
probably what you heard.
They're problematic anyways, and
Depending on
sometimes it
where
can be
they
as
are,
simple as not having
sound
fully
cancellation.
charged 9-volt batteries.
Yeah,
But coming back to meeting with the town manager, I just I think if we can push a little bit and say, let's get out of mediocre with the facility in the auditorium at the high school. And, you know, if you want more live coverage, you need to have better in the room.
You've got to fix both things. You've
Yeah.
got
Mhm.
You have to have a better
Audio
connection
versus
and
the
you have
school.
to have a system that's optimally working.
Yeah, we need the school to fix the audio system. So we get. a
Or
good
look
signal.
into it to make sure that it
And then-
is correctly
Sure.
set up.
And
And
maybe it was
we also
part
need
of
the
the,
network
of
to
the,
get
ori-
us to the town hall.
maybe it was part of the original agreement when it was purchased that there would be so much maintenance.
I
in
think
the
I
contract.
don't know about that.
I mean, so that's.
But it ought to be.
Just like a
When the
light,
student deleted everything, there was no,
we had the same issue with the light board, same
It's the
exact
same,
issue,
you know.
you know, and so like they're too complicated now. Like they need to have all this, you know. Firmware built right into them,
Mhm.
and when they get messed up, then unless you got a floppy disk or something to, you know, reboot it. They sometimes you can go back to the factory and do it, but
but I do know that it's my understanding that when they were setting up the auditorium, the engineers came in and modified the board to fit that auditorium.
Mhm.
That's a bad sign.
Well, they tweaked it so that it would work.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Modify,
They
they
tweaked
set
the
it.
settings, and it's like in a light board where you press one and certain lights come on, you press two, other lights. There were settings that said large
Okay.
group, this, you're using this, you're using that, and those settings from what I had heard years ago now, because it's several years,
this
is
is
someone
good.
deleted
Right,
the settings.
this is good to bring up with Heather. Is anyone gonna be there from the school?
No, it's just myself. Two IT people and her.
Well, maybe we make the case there needs to be another meeting just like that for the sound.
I would
I
agree.
just need to have the question asked as.
I know, we want it on
sound.
the record. That's what I'm looking for.
Because if at that meeting, sound was, the feed coming to you wasn't adequate,
I don't think it was.
then that has to be addressed.
But it was much better than what we tried to send out live. So something in our system is not behaving as well as it could,
Right, it's more than one thing.
but we started with rubbish.
Right, so then you got
Right.
trash on top of it.
But I would also suggest that that purchasing, pull out the contract and see what was included. Because there may be regular maintenance that hasn't been done. You don't know what was in the contract with the provider. So I really think it's important. If we're entitled to some free maintenance, then we
It's 10
or
years old. at least, right?
discounted. I don't know what it could say for the life of the product. We don't know. We need to look at the contract.
So the high school has no AV staff.
To my knowledge, I can't answer that now, but when it opened, it did not.
So,
We used
It was student run.
But the guy who used to run the board for town meetings was like 3 Dans ago, when they all called Dan. Or John, was it John?
No, it was Steve Melandrino.
That's the one. I knew it was called Dan, but I mean, he did run the board. I don't know how well he ran it, because I wasn't.
so barring finding any possible warranty that exists. Maybe someone from IT can contact the company that
Mhm.
constructed the board and find out if the board can be sent in to be reprogrammed.
It's,
And get a backup put in for the time being. That's what I would do if I were running AV over there.
Mhm.
the board is probably fine. They just have to
Right.
recreate the settings that fit that auditorium.
And hopefully.
And I
they kept
don't
track of
know-
it when they did it.
How they set up the,
So they don't have to send it back to the
no,
factory.
there's
be
probably
someone who can
nothing
do it.
wrong with the board.
Oh, no,
It's presetting the
should be
preset.
needy.
The board is a blank thing.
Right,
And then you know how you manipulate it and so you can carve and create. Well, there are presets. And there are certain connections that are built in. And whatever those presets were lost. Those were set in the auditorium for that auditorium. They could take that board, bring it to another school, and then they would set new presets for that
And then
school.
if I were an installer who did the presets, I would be writing down what presets I
lost.
did. All right, the company has no copy of.
No, no,
Of what they
someone
did.
did get the manual and did the best they could to recreate.
Okay,
And that was like the second year of the high school, second or third year.
It's been
Yeah, so these
out of
things
shape
are.
since then.
I don't know,
idiosyncratic.
There have been issues that I've heard when I've
Yeah.
been to events. I don't know how well they've corrected them, but it was a parent and a student who tried to recreate everything. There was no interest. I'm assuming at that point, the parent asked, can the company come in? And I believe he said no.
But
So
we
that's why I
need
don't think
to
there's.
stuff make Heather and company aware.
We,
And secondly,
that if they're
make
gonna
sure
host
it's
town
not- it's
events
not
in
given
there
to us
of
by the state.
significance, then
right,
not only does the PAC equipment have to work with the town and the school.
Yeah.
But your access to. Not information,
Proper audio.
data from the auditorium needs to be at a high enough quality for you to
Mm-hmm.
manipulate. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because we don't use any high school cameras
Right,
or recording equipment.
no,
It's all audio.
It's just audio, but that input. Now, if you wanted to. Do you have enough microphones that you could do all the wireless and just run it through your own board?
no,
we don't have.
we'd have to take all of that equipment out of the control room.
But
and-
that, I asked that, because that would be the
It's a fair
solution.
question, but it's an ugly solution.
The
because
problem is, yeah, like. the
We
select
shouldn't
board,
be
yeah,
doing it,
Well, the-
especially if the board handles presets properly.
Right,
The board would do a much
And
better
that's-
job than our people run.
because your board at town hall is all set up for what it needs to do, correct? You know how to tweak it so that it exactly works for whatever town event is happening.
Actually, it's
It's-
not very tweakable.
It's built
It's
in,
tiny.
yeah,
We don't have a complex board there because
No.
we're just in a.
Not a
stable
complex room.
situation.
It's-
Okay.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know, it's been a while since I've been in the control
The
room.
the bigger
I didn't
bigger
think
the
it was a
room,
big
the
board,
less the
but-
problem.
Yeah,
is.
what about the ambient noise of people, talking and
That's part of the
discussing?
presets,
That's part of the preset, okay?
because you do a low frequency filter.
Actually, turn the audience off.
No, it has, it has to do low frequency and there's a noise reduction
Okay,
Right.
stuff.
It's very sophisticated, this stuff. It's-
So that's the issue. If the board is a high quality board, then it needs to be set correctly to work correctly.
By an
If
expert.
it's,
fine.
I mean, I have a little board, a cheap
Yeah.
little board, 6, 8 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's got, 12 controls.
Yes,
Right,
it's
it's-
wonderful.
But it doesn't do super high quality stuff, but
Exactly.
it works.
Right,
But if you have, a very, and I've worked those boards, you press the wrong button. I had to record a concert, everything was set up and nothing went through. I had to literally unplug everything and then do a very simple, how you just do just an input, we got 2. That's all we're gonna work.
yes.
And
I've done
part of
that.
it was a jazz band thing with 12 microphones.
Mm.
And they were all inputted with pre-mics, the whole bit, and nothing worked. I got it to work with 2 and saved the recording for the performance. So that's the issue,
well, I mean,
but I don't know if that's the
the
issue.
bad audio quality, came through on the live stream, so people watching had poor audio quality. There wasn't poor audio quality going into our switcher.
No.
No.
Well, to your ear, but again, what's coming out of that mixer is what I'm hearing sitting in the seat in the auditorium, and it wasn't very good.
Right, okay,
So that's what I'm getting at. So like there's things that you can hear, in your ear, and you say, oh, that sounds like a pretty strong, clear signal, but if the board's not even set up properly to really handle the dynamics of the room.
And
We
it
have
could be
to
your
set out the
connection
boundaries.
didn't quite agree with,
could be our encoder, it could be.
you know what I
our-
mean? Because
yeah.
you're encoding the sound into the visual. So you're
Right.
taking an outside source and you're mixing it in with the visual, whatever, the video.
Right.
And it could be that the video has presets. And the audio had slightly 1 or 2 different presets, and so it worked, but you know what I mean? That's all part of the process.
Right, we've got to maintain the boundaries. So
Let's think
that
more about
the
what
school
you-
stuff has the board up in the control room. They own all the equipment in the auditorium. They have two obligations, in my opinion. One is to make sure the audio in the auditorium for the audience, a lot of ords in this, that they can hear it properly. It's not misbehaving. We don't have very loud people followed by very quiet people, which generally means two things. One, the board must be properly reconfigured. Sounds like that's a problem. And it has to be actively managed.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's the
right.
bigger problem. It has to be
So,
actively managed.
Those two pieces come to a border and it's called an XLR connector. And that's still analog at that point.
Yeah, it
And
is. Oh,
that's-
that's true. It's a digital converter. I forgot. all
Well,
about that.
that's part of my concern that I'm just getting to.
Yeah, okay,
So-
that's right.
We have a one XLR connector. I believe it's mono. I don't
Yeah, it
know
could be.
that.
That's
I
out
don't know what the board is, whether it has actually.
It's mono,
Okay.
but are you only taking out the right channel out of the board, or are you taking a mono? out of the
Right,
board?
even if it's stereo, as long as we don't take the A minus B instead of the.
Right.
So, but that's different piece.
Ooh.
So. To the left-hand side of the XLR connector. Is the school, a whole bunch of school responsibilities. And they're supposed to give us in this little metal connector thing. A very adequate, if not beautiful connection.
Should
Oh.
be solid,
Well,
rock solid,
All the audio that's being used in the auditorium.
right?
We cannot be part of that process other than try to make sure it happens.
Hmm.
Then when we get that, we stick it into the AV matrix. The AV matrix shuffles it around, makes it digital, probably converts it back to audio 3 times and then stuffs it up on either an HDMI or an Ethernet into the encoder, I don't know which. From that XLR to the cable system, to the edge of the cable system is our responsibility.
Mhm,
From the edge of the cable system to the homes is Comcast's responsibility.
correct. That's a very nice way of putting it. I
But
like how.
that's what I'm trying to, I don't want
Yeah.
these running into each other.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, we get some responsibility to either staff the board, no, please don't do that. Or have someone learn how to become a board expert.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to make sure we're clear in the process. Because my suspicion is, we probably had 3 things in series with the audio. Which is the board was behaving poorly. We got hold of it and something in our system was either annoyed by what they were saying or the quality of the signal
Right.
coming in.
So it just
Um,
kept,
And then the
Exacerbating.
casters decided this is just too much, I'm going to stop. Because, and we have to make sure, because it's all in series. That we separate the bits, make sure all the bits
That's how you put-
know about each other and talk nicely to each other
Exactly how I
at
troubleshoot.
the end.
Mhm.
We all okay on this?
Does it make sense? Does it help?
Is it something that we need to do a policy on? That the school is responsible for this and, PAC is responsible for this and Comcast.
Let's
you know,
figure
spell
out
it
what we need to do first.
Okay,
Yes. I like
Because,
that.
because once you do a policy, then you have to stick by the policy
yeah,
and things change.
Okay.
Technology changes quite a bit. You could be getting a piece of equipment that just runs everything in this little box this size, in 4 years, I don't know how that works. I think we need to figure out what happened, and try to come up with how we can solve this brainstorming, which is what you're going to do. I think one of the big issues is the school doesn't talk to the town.
Yeah, the school should be part of this conversation. I don't know.
Well,
why
no,
they're
no, but
not.
the connection,
that's why I asked if I have an AD
the
person.
school system doesn't connect to the town.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
So,
that's the IT system, yeah.
right, so that's the biggest problem is can there be at least out of the auditorium or in the multipurpose room, because they use that also. Is a way to get a line out, dedicated out something that talks to the town so that you can use your stuff.
Well, and it's also the level of connection. I mean, when they did a workaround, was it an adequate workaround?
Right.
Was it
Did they
something
use the
that we
primary
could,
cable?
So they did a workaround that night?
That day, yeah.
that day?
Okay.
And that was the first we could even try it.
I don't know what a workaround is.
They had to reconnoiter something to make it work to
Punch.
communicate.
I put a piece of gum behind that wire, now it works.
Right.
Okay.
Or it's a
Yeah.
piece of string that actually goes from the tight string to the.
And 2 cans.
Right.
Um, I don't know if any of this helped in your discussions.
It does,
Does it give
I,
you some viewpoint? I don't know.
yeah,
I,
for
I'm,
sure.
I'm of the opinion
you
we
feel
shouldn't try and get the
comfortable
school
going
there
to meeting?
to this meeting.
Okay,
You seem
Why? Why?
Because I think if we can get our boundaries well defined. Then they can have the meetings they need to have, the other side of boundaries, that's not us.
Yeah, that's the,
We should not be managing this entire project.
no, but you know,
We should be
I can see how the
identifying.
town is, the townspeople are saying.
That's what this.
We had a thing and we expected one thing and it
Yeah.
didn't happen,
Right.
so. Everyone bears some responsibility, because obviously the system didn't work, whatever. It was short notice, we can list all the reasons and all that, but so let's take these next few months or whatever, and let's see if we can resolve it. So that we can have, because there's probably gonna be another meeting that's gonna end up at the high school with a lot of people in it.
Mm,
Well, what Joe and I had actually already talked about. As a test, that's before the lakeside people had their connection, and of course, this whole thing happening now. They-
Oh, you guys do the,
We were going to do Are You Smarter Than the
the
Fifth
fifth
Grade?
graders, yeah,
And that's like 3-4 weeks before the town meeting.
yeah, it's in April.
And we were going to use that as a test bed. Because we could get in, we were going to live stream it, whether we're supposed to or not, you know. We were going to do all the bits we could. Where
Right.
if we had to shut something down and restart it, it wasn't the same thing as a bunch of townsfolk who are rightly unhappy with what's going on and want to know what's happening next.
Yeah.
Right.
Did I say that right?
and what ends up happening is many of those people for the next 25 years will always have a grudge
Yeah.
about Pat, because Pat just, you know, or the town or whatever, and it takes forever. So I think you gotta meet with the IT people, we gotta get a connection.
Right.
Then, once that's, we need to work on making sure the data we get from the school meets the criteria we need, and so that's a separate thing,
When you say data, you mean the audio?
whatever data, yeah, the information,
Right. No,
whether
when
it's
you-
analog or
When
digital.
you say data, it confuses me
Oh.
because that's usually digital. And what we're looking for is analog.
Okay, that's true. I keep thinking it's all digital because your stuff is digital. Then we have to look at, do we have the right digital converter to make sure that
That's
it
right.
works with this? You know what I mean? I think
That's our side of that boundary.
that's right. So I'm thinking the first thing to do is we need to figure out how to get you a solid connection to the casters, right?
Right.
That, and you've been saying this for a year. When the town decided to,
Yeah,
By the way, if we do that, we want it from the studio as well.
right,
Don't fix half the problem.
well, that's it. The studio is technically, it's owned by the town, but
Right,
the network there is the school network.
that's my
Oh,
problem, exactly.
okay.
You have your finger on it.
because
I want town.
although
network in
this
the studio
town
as
owns,
Well,
the-
preferably.
the town
It
owns the
will
building.
Once they, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
I'm all set.
The town owns the building, but the school is in charge of the network of the building.
Exactly.
The problem is the town said, fine, school's using most of it, you guys set it up, it's yours, you pay for it.
Right,
And that's what caused the problem, because your studio is there.
but nobody looked at the whole picture.
Right, and if we look at the history of Lunenburg, there are lots of times when people didn't look at the whole picture and then tried to retrofit things later on.
Yeah.
So we need to get a signal to town hall. My God, town hall into the studio. However that works, and whatever needs to be done, because Pat cannot do what it needs to do.
Mhm.
Right,
Right,
We can't. So don't blame us because we can't build a house if you didn't send us nails.
yeah.
and we can't take responsibility for our failure if we can't figure out what the failure was.
Right,
It was it your workaround? Was it?
right, and you said a lot of things, was the workaround, what was the quality of the connection? Because I understand, it's the quality of connection,
Right.
you know, did you have to jiggle the wire to get it to work, you know?
Mhm.
We've all had that.
No, what we don't know is if there was a traffic situation. Because we don't know whether they reconfigured a port through the school network and from somewhere in the school network.
Something else was going on.
That's what we don't know.
Yeah.
If instead they took that RJ45, is that what it is? I remember. The Ethernet connection in the box. If they actually did your chewing gum solution where they actually ran a physical wire from that
Right.
through some ducts and plugged it into something somewhere, I don't
And
know.
once again, did they use a splitter to get the signal to go two different ways? And was the
Yeah.
splitter,
That doesn't work with
you know, what ends up happening is you get a degraded signal if you.
signal loss, yeah.
Yeah, so I think your meeting with the IT and Heather is a great start because we need to say. That's the hugest problem. We have the equipment to do it. We need a connection so that we can make sure that our equipment is configured correctly for the connection that you
Mhm.
provide us.
Right. And the signal is on it.
Yeah, what, yeah.
The whole connection.
Yeah, the whole connection.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then once that's resolved, then you can look at what's the quality of the signal coming from the school into your system.
Mhm.
And how can we make that better? How, you know, what needs to be done
Yeah,
to
I
make
mean,
that better?
Our
And
job
maybe
is-
that's the best you're gonna get out of that system at the moment, you know?
And if it is, we
Mhm.
should take whatever comes out of that system and present it as perfectly as we can at
Yes,
the edge of the cable system. Is that right?
yes.
See what
'Cause
I'm doing?
A lot of the recordings that I do, the first thing I had to learn, we were recording young groups especially, I'm like, that conductor, you know, the trumpets are too loud, that's going on, and I was told, no, you're recording. Does the recording sound exactly like what they're doing? Oh, yeah, it's a different set of ears. It is, it's a different set of ears,
Right,
and you have to just reproduce exactly what's there. With all the mistakes and all the inconsistencies that are there.
yeah,
So you were at the meeting, I assume? So as an audience member, you had trouble hearing things. So part of that is whatever is being set up there. What wasn't meeting the needs and what you said, and I know about this. I'm talking to the mic like this, and then they go, now, I'm gonna continue talking, and it's like. You know, you're setting all the signals. That's a whole different issue there. So I'm not gonna belabor the point. Does that make sense to you, Joe?
Yes.
Does that give you information to go?
Both and those things,
Yes.
in my observation, you
Is
know,
there anything that can be done about the mic positions, such as
Yeah.
having it in a mic stand, even though it's wireless? And have
There, yeah, there,
people,
you could go
talk-
condenser microphones, which would pick up everything, but then the problem is they pick up everything.
White noise.
yeah,
Yeah, they pick up the ambient noise
so
too.
Yeah.
they had a table set up front with, I think, condenser mics that each panelist had. And even the
Not sure what
quality,
the technology is on this.
well, whatever it was,
Um,
it still wasn't that good.
Condenser mic,
We just couldn't hear.
I was in the front row, it was.
it's more
Yeah, I found it to be.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it takes the
Okay.
voltage to make it work,
work, yeah, it works,
other mics, but it is sensitive.
when the ribbon moves, it changes the voltage or whatever.
It changes the capacitance.
Yes.
Yeah, so close.
And my
And we have
semi-professional.
to look at it
opinion,
again.
But the technology of them doesn't matter too much as long as they get a good signal to the board.
Right, but
Yeah.
microphones are set up to do, like the computer, the problem we have with the computer, it's set up to have sound right here.
Right.
And if you want to record sound here,
Right,
you need something else.
Right.
and there
So
are different styles of microphones
for different purposes.
for either shotgun or
Right.
cardioid or noise canceling.
So I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that the wireless mics they use are probably like the Shure 58s
That's what they
with a
were.
conical thing. If you go out of the axis,
They're like,
Right.
they kind of, right.
Oh, the ones they were carrying around,
Yeah.
they might have been.
those are very much where you almost have to be,
Speak into the microphone, yeah.
this is
Right.
it.
Yeah.
You do this. And you're only getting 30% of the
Some
sound.
people also stuff it in their nose.
Those are all the people that I taught.
Construction. You don't know.
No,
You never held the
You
microphone.
you can't
you know?
instruct.
Yeah.
They're
500
not all,
people.
they're not all radio announcers, so
Right.
Right.
hand them a mic and they just got something on their mind to
But that's-
say.
that's-
Yeah, and I agree with
You
you.
know,
You can't do that, but
But that's part
That's
of what the
part of
guy
the
on the
problem.
board does.
that we can't fix.
Right.
That's
what I'm trying to make sure.
we can't fix that problem.
Right.
But we can look at making sure you get a connection and we can make sure that once we have a connection, if there's a problem with
We
the feed.
perfectly did it.
That's the word I'm looking for, with the feed, what can we do to make the feed better? Within the parameters of people doing all the weird things. Does that make
Right,
sense?
our job is to carry it from where
Right.
we get it to where we need it to go
So-
without changing it.
Does that,
Yeah.
I'm hoping it just helps give you a focus at the meeting.
Yes,
We need to, there, you know, it's like,
yeah.
once this is done, then we can go to there, then we can go, you know, so to speak.
Mhm.
I'll tell
Okay,
you though, Joe, I watched the YouTube feed twice and it was pretty good. Able to follow it pretty well all the way through.
Yes, I had to manually for each person adjust.
That's what I'm saying, you worked
The
really
audio.
hard for a whole day to.
I didn't, you know what, but you'd have to do that anyway, because of the way people hold their microphones, because of, you know.
Objection.
If someone's
If
on the
somebody
board,
managed the board,
you shouldn't
you
have. to-
wouldn't have to do it. That's what I'm trying to get to.
yeah,
And I'm trying to save you that work, by the way, so be grateful for
Yeah.
that.
It's a live event,
very
so
much.
it's the same as if we were
It's-
doing a live event and we had control over everything, wouldn't you have someone on the board?
Yeah,
You know, when you have someone on the switcher, you can't let someone go off to get a cup of coffee if you're on the switcher.
That really was a tremendous favor that you did there,
Yes,
because the signal we got was all over the place. So you did the best you could to gain it kind
Yes.
of level.
yes.
And the YouTube one was good,
Yes, that's true.
so, but you shouldn't have done it. Not, you shouldn't have done it, you shouldn't have had to do it.
Shouldn't have had to
shouldn't have
do it.
had to do it,
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
we kind
Yeah.
of need to do it.
The problem we're facing, I think, is what we're talking about is the school's gonna have to do two things, neither of which they want to do.
No.
One is restore the board.
If it's still up, I know, it's been a few
I have no
years, so I,
It might be cheaper to get another board, I
Yeah.
mean.
no,
No,
No.
no,
No,
the
And
board's not the
secondly,
problem. It's the
you need
preset.
some,
Well, I was buying some meals.
and how do you guarantee that someone will wipe
We'll
them
come
out
out,
again?
wipe them out again.
or at least keep a copy of it.
I'm sure it's a disc that. they
The
can
other,
put
the
in.
other issues have, for meetings like this, someone has to manage the board, who knows what they're doing.
Which is what Steve used to do, correct? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
he
close.
used
Steve
So,
used to
so
do-
that,
I don't know how he did, but
Turn one knob somewhere on the board and messes up the signal. You have to know. These are, when I
Okay.
set up sound systems for people to use,
Yeah.
I actually color code and I
Yeah.
put an
Oh,
arrow,
yeah.
set it here, here, here,
don't touch.
9 o'clock, and it'll work.
Yeah,
And I think what happens is kids get in there or whatever, or some adult or whatever, and they're trying to do something, they go, well, maybe this will work, maybe that,
Yeah.
but then they don't turn that one off.
Right.
And now you have a feed going that way, this, I don't know, I haven't seen the board in 8 years.
So let's
Go up there much.
put this to one side, have the meeting. If we can get the boundaries set, that would be a really good start for us. But I think there may need to be another meeting for the school to understand what they need to do.
Once we get
to
this
Offer to us.
set up,
Right.
I think then, yeah, then we could go visit the school and say, what can we do here?
Actually, I would rather Heather calls the school in and we're allowed to be there. We
Okay.
have no authority, we really have no influence on the school, unfortunately.
You know,
Oh, no, actually, maybe it's a good thing, I take that back. I'm trying to keep,
Well, they make requests of us,
I know,
so it's gonna be two-way.
well, yes, that would be nice,
Mm.
I actually like that approach.
Mm.
But we are completely lacking in authority, we don't even know who to talk to half the time, because the.
well, they don't have an
Do
IT.
they have
person.
authority to ask us to do things?
I don't think it's authority, but we would do it as a favor.
Yeah.
But so we don't have to,
They don't-
we do not have to do football games.
Really, we should, because we're paid,
We separated the two things.
it's
It's
part of the
separated
school,
into
we should be
higher
putting it out there,
ones,
that's
too.
part of what our charter
Oh,
should
yeah,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, that's.
But let's
what
not
I'm
do
saying.
that.
It's,
But maybe that's one
Well,
to move to as well.
part of what our mission statement is to cover as many things as we can.
So I'm still looking for a 6-camera shoot for the football game. It goes all pale and all
School
better.
charges money, they make profit on their football people have. They
Well,
work
it goes to
with
MIA again, yeah, but, yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the
Goes to
ranch,
MIA.
we have
Go to
a
the school.
I think
whole bunch of stuff. We all reasonably
Oh.
clear.
I was not playing softball.
Okay.
What is the budget?
So are we all
Joe?
ready to move on from this?
Just one question. Is there any other room in the town hall that can be picked up other than the Sedona room? Can be broadcast from?
You mean
I was
the
asked that.
Bellata room?
A lot of them, yeah.
Okay, this is the
This is-
Sedona room. I'm going.
I have
There's been a lot of people.
Well, it's just, so many people showed up at that first meeting, were turned away because there was no room. And I was asked, isn't there some other place in that building, other than pretty much all offices, that they could go? Because otherwise, we're gonna end up back over there tomorrow night. There's gonna be a mob tomorrow night, tomorrow.
Yeah. They're all offices over there.
Yeah.
That's the only
There's no
big
room.
place in that building.
That's the biggest.
Oh, other than the
Yeah.
basement. they
no,
give you
no,
a-
other rooms.
No, depending on the building, there's no,
Oh, I've been.
yeah,
too.
there's no, nothing. And it's not handicap accessible. There is an elevator
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it.
Oh, not
it's a
upstairs,
freight
no,
elevator.
downstairs,
downstairs.
I've used
Oh,
it,
in the town.
yeah.
town hall.
Yeah.
That's a-
What about in the school, is in the gym and I don't really know about how the Passia school works, but is there like a wall that can, one of those,
Bleachers,
no, I was thinking of the,
Concertina wall.
that, I know there's a cafeteria and there's a gym,
and you can't get,
you can't
Can't.
connect them, okay.
you'd have to put a TV in one room and have.
Okay, but for overflow, I was thinking maybe that space would be larger. But I don't know.
But
if
then
it's
that's
what
cool,
cares.
trying to connect to the town again.
Yeah, be
Can I-
the same problem.
That's,
But I suggest we don't try and solve the problem of overflow for the moment and get just the one room solution working well anywhere. So anywhere within the town properties, which includes
Hmm.
educational, that we could from any one given room do a really good end to end.
What about a church? Just wondering if there
the
could,
water department.
the church across the street from town hall, if that would hold more people.
I'm trying not to do that at the moment.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's do Bellata, which we do well, I believe.
I'd say
And
so.
find a
Yeah,
way of
it's
doing
just
the
that-
auditorium well, and then we can move on from there. If we get more than one, we're trying to solve at the same time. I
Yeah.
know where we end up. The sun sure as hell don't shine there. Is that an American phrase? That I'm allowed to use that, right? Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
Let's
Are we
check the
good?
budget review.
thank you. So I have somewhere here. A whole bunch of pages.
What?
Yeah, I know. So if you pass those around. And if you pass those around,
Oh, I'm sorry, there's one sheet.
oh, just take one sheet.
One sheet, we'll pass it. out.
They're either stapled or they're seen.
I see. You have one?
I should have one.
Yes, one.
Yeah.
There
That's
you go.
for you.
Thank you.
So you have one of these?
I don't.
No, this one should be one to go.
We're short.
It should be five. I printed out five.
Together?
Five, there's
It's
five
four of
here,
us And you.
There are five people. No, I didn't print
Six.
one for me.
there's six of us.
Yeah, I already had one because it was
Oh.
working.
I have one from,
You should have a spreadsheet. Single sheet that looks like that.
yeah, I don't have that,
Pat draft one.
but I'll follow along with what I do have.
Well, I have no idea where it ended up.
I need a copy.
Yeah.
Can you? Just grab one.
Ooh. That's really nice.
Joe,
Pardon me.
feel free to steal the picture.
Yeah,
Look at it.
I like it.
And it kind of fits the pack symbol in the middle of it as well. That was all done at the last meeting,
Yeah,
but that doesn't matter because you're FY 22. But it kind of gives a picture together of what we're able to do. It's the best I could come up with, but it's kind of cool, I thought.
I could put that at the end of the report.
Well, any way you like, so. Anyway, there are three separate pictures But I can make them into one if you need, so.
Yeah, I'd like that if you did
It
that.
really looks like that. doesn't
Oops, here's another.
it? What?
I just found another.
She has this.
Oh, she already has it?
Yeah, somebody's got
You
to
have
at
it?
least, yeah.
Oh, does he have it? No, I don't think he does.
Do you have one page? No. Oh, there you go. So what we're gonna work on initially is the spreadsheet one. There we go. it's done. We have an anomaly, Joe.
Okay, so that's. Let's do that. this way.
I have to keep a record of it. Anything I ever asked 4 years from now.
Joe, if you look at the column labeled FY 23 budgeted, the extra column you sent me,
Yeah,
the very top one, I don't know where that number comes from, but it's a very strange number.
I don't either, but it's a number I.
I know,
Yeah.
okay. I just wanted you to be aware that's.
Does
there.
that include the proposed job?
Yeah,
That's probably why the number is high. You're thinking it's high?
No, I'm thinking it's totally weird to propose 87,322 and 51 cents for a budget number.
yeah,
Oh,
I thought that
Doing-
was strange too, but
Okay,
that's what I
Let's
got.
ignore it for the moment. We do have one more meeting. So we can go through this, talk about the numbers. We can go quickly through the presentation because this spreadsheet feeds the presentation. I've done some of it, not all of it. So the column that's of most interested is the blue one, which is, Joe put a column together, I put a column together. We got about a 75% match. I mean, we were
Yeah, we
we
did.
were quite impressed at the speed with which we did it.
Yeah.
You okay? You think sheet causing a problem?
No, I just wanted to
I
make sure he
just
had the
wanna make-
same thing I have.
and Mark.
That's fine. I like the
Okay.
style.
The FY 24 budget is blank. And that's so that we can just write in numbers as we talk about them, as long as I end up with a set that I can use. So if we run down the last but one column, the blue headed column. The 84,000 is the sum of the salary for Joe and for the production technician. Which we don't have yet, although that looked like an interesting candidate, Joe.
Yes,
So the one I raised a flag on,
yes,
for a change.
yeah,
So, whatever. The videographers, right now are employees of the time, part-time, unbenefited. And all together, because it's a variable, we have budgeted 27. If you look further back, you will see two columns away, F23 actuals. That's for half a year, that's for 6 months.
Ending. 31st, yeah.
So it's 11,500 for 6 months. The next column prorated plus adjust, actually, I didn't adjust it. Typically, I've just doubled that number to give us an idea, but that's not a good thing to do always, so don't pay too much attention. So 27,000 for the videographers. Joe, did you find out about longevity?
I did not,
Would you please?
yes,
We'll fix that. The longevity is not paid based on how tall you are, but how long you've been working for the
Yeah.
town. We don't know whether it's a 1-year bonus or it's an increase in salary.
That's for salaried employees.
That's a good point,
It is a good point, I
because
thought.
in the teacher contract, once you hit 30 years, you get 1 or 2% extra every year.
Every year. That was my, I couldn't believe.
I
it was
got a
just-
longevity, I opted for a longevity bonus of $5,000
When did that
a year
kick in?
for 3 years.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
it
okay.
was only for 3,
But it was a bigger bonus.
it was a bigger bonus.
Gotcha.
Geez, when did that kick in? I never got that.
The last contract,
Oh.
oh, no.
That's
Gail
good.
Diamantopoulos got it, so it
You
was
thinking you're owed some money?
15 days ago.
Oh, they got a lot more now than they do.
Anyway,
Probably the year after you retired.
so that may be a correction, but if anyone has any concerns about those first two numbers,
27,000, I know a year or so ago, we talked about, they changed categories of salaries. The town. Oh, well, never mind, that was a different committee,
Oh,
bylaws,
oh, yeah.
never mind. They would talked a lot about salaries and they were changing the columns. We don't have to worry about that, right?
No, we work at actual money. Okay.
Okay, well, that was my.
So we good with those two?
Yep.
Another question? The blank column,
This is for you. Write your numbers in if you wish.
if I wish, but if I don't wish to change anything, then just,
Just do whatever. It's for you. It's a freebie.
Draw it easy.
But if you do, it'll end up in the presentation. Okay, so those two together come to 111,000, okay? Lease, I can hand the floor to Pete, but probably shouldn't. There's 6,000, we're stuck with it despite Pete's best attempts.
You know,
I
I think that
100%
that should be decreased by 10% if the roof leaks.
Yes, there you go.
That's,
And
you
if-
know,
a best.
That's right. That's right.
Through the,
Escrow it. Yeah.
yeah, no, you definitely can do that. Escrow it.
It's kind of
If it's
weird.
a health hazard, it's.
Next one is vendor expenses, which I know it's not Travis. Vendor expenses, Joe.
Vendor expenses are expenses outside of consultants or any of our employees. For instance,
Oh, I know
if
it is.
an electrician comes in to do some work.
Oh, isn't this Andrea?
No,
Okay,
no, Andrea
no, we'll
is
get to that one. They're doing one at a time.
purchase of services.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, vendor expenses is anything outside of our normal.
It's really a placeholder. It's not. a lot
Yeah,
of money.
it doesn't look like it's
Yeah.
been used, just like legal.
Well, we've still got to
expenses.
put the air conditioner in. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, I'll say that.
Excellent. $1,100 purchase of services. Can I make a wild guess on this one? That's Andrea, the bulletin board lady.
Yes, yes.
So that's. We budgeted 1,100 before. She doesn't put her bills in apparently, right?
Well, I just get 6 months worth of time cards from her that I have to
Excellent.
process.
Do you know how
Oh.
much they were roughly?
I did not add them
No,
up yet.
okay, no, that's right. So we can leave 1,100. Consultant services, and now is that Travis?
Yes,
Travis is a technological support from FATP.
can I ask a question about purchase of service? It looks like it in FY 21, it was 5,000, and you're saying proposed, it's 1,100. And based on actuals, like in 22, it was higher than 1,100, not by much, but
I don't mind, whatever we want.
the actuals were, yes, the actuals were higher in 22.
I'm just wondering what the 1,100 is based on. Just, it looks like it was based on the budget for FY 23.
Yeah, it was keeping it level with that.
Uh-huh,
It's in the ballpark. You want to up it or down it a bit?
I have to look at those bills today.
Actually, that would be helpful. Why don't we leave that one
okay.
for review?
Okay,
If you would check those, that would be helpful for the next meeting.
okay.
If we do this right, I'll bring my computer to the next one.
And then you can just,
Put it in.
Put them in
Put it
as we do it and
Yeah.
then it should all come together.
Yeah.
1,400, that was Travis, and that's, he's not been putting bills in, we've not been using him very much,
He's due for a couple months worth of bills
which, that he hasn't sent you.
that he has not sent.
Yeah. We're also have him on, sort of on the payroll, because if somebody gave us some space, boy, would we be needing his help.
mhm.
So we'll leave that one, are we okay
Well,
with it?
yeah, you're gonna check on his bills that he just gave you?
I requested his invoices 2 weeks ago and I'm still waiting for them,
Okay.
so
So we'll review that at the next one.
we'll review that at the next one.
I'm good with that. Advertising $800, which covers people's hats. And if we put anything in the Looney Ledger
Right.
and anything else we do.
Are you
What? Oh, I'm
insulted?
sorry.
I like
We,
that.
we has an employee here, I
I
forgot.
like. I like.
Sorry about that,
Me
Bob.
too.
I-
Yeah.
You're the only person who knows where to put apostrophes in the ledger.
If you write a story for the ledger, you don't have to pay for it.
Don't pay for the ledger.
No,
or the-
it's a future story.
No, we put adverts.
It's
in
Right,
the-
not to pay, but if you want to write a story about.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
that
no,
story,
that's good.
great.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I would be happy to
I've
do.
done several.
Yeah.
For,
Yeah.
Just I wish they'd use a grammar check and an apostrophe check, and you do a good job, but some of the others. are Very
When people
disturbing.
submit a story, generally we just copy and paste
Right.
it.
I'm sure that's what it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
When I submit
They
one.
don't-
it's-
I
when I submit
Purely, I need to be my own editor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of,
But you are, you,
well, thank you for
I
that.
read those. So advertising, we are right at 800. I'd like to reduce it, but 800.
Seriously, what
We
is,
could
what
go-
is it for?
We could go to 500.
Yeah,
I mean, did you have to,
Well-
Casey, put in a public notice like the ones you pay for? Something
Yeah,
like
we
that?
put in a couple last year. It's listed here, 63 last
Or do you have to
year.
advertise for, you know, staff?
No, not 63, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 65 in FY 22.
In FY 22, 65, yeah, that's as high as it's gone. And the clothing, we're only, I think there's 2 people that are gonna get clothing, that's probably a couple $100.
Should we put it
We
to
do.
5?
Mm.
500,
Next,
6, I don't mind.
600 it is,
it was a-
sold.
Okay, $200 for office supplies, that covers. SD
Folders.
cards,
files. Yeah,
just general stuff. Can't argue with 200.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry, I was talking.
I know, we get
600, okay, thank you.
200 for the next line, 12,000 for equipment maintenance and supplies. So that's when things break and we need to fix them.
So it looks like it's going up a little bit, mostly in.
Will that cover anything we need to do to fix, to help fix the connection to town?
no,
Is
I
that
think it-
where it would come under?
What did you spend
do
the
we need
6,000
to-
on?
You know, if we need to modify
Uh,
our equipment to,
Yeah, well,
to match the town,
yes, if we had to buy a new encoder,
it would come under.
it would come under this.
and actually consumer level cameras for people to take out, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we need more.
SD cards, you know, whatever.
SD cards,
So that's why I was wondering if the
Batteries.
12,000 is enough to cover what may be happening, or
that is the most active line item, I have to say,
that, I know, that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking the question.
yeah.
Should that be more,
You could put it
we are
up by,
talking about
put it up by $24 or $28.
in 2
Yeah.
cents,
And 2 cents, yeah.
That's right.
for
I'm
regular-
glad you're paying attention.
Yes,
but it's,
we are.
you know what's actually,
Well, last fiscal year, it was over 11,000,
right,
and right now at the halfway point,
it's at 6,
it's at 6.
Yeah,
so it should work.
or do you want to make it 15?
Well, we do need
Have a care, we're already. out.
cameras,
Yes.
we do need cameras for next year, some consumer,
I would
for the
push it, I would push it to
students.
15,
yeah,
Yeah.
15 or
Yeah.
16.
You're gonna run into trouble with that, but
No, but
put
we
it there
just,
for the moment.
we just took 200.
I know, that's the problem.
Are you talking
We have to
15
take-
or 1,600?
Why don't we do
1,000.
That's 1,000.
That's-
so it increased by 4K.
16?
All right, well,
We're making it
Holy
16,
moly.
That's what I'm throwing out, Steve's not liking it.
okay,
I'm not liking it. That.
well,
Have a vote.
I'm
so what-
liking it.
yeah,
Now, the next one,
salaries, we'll just take it out of salaries.
Yeah, Joe would love that.
the next
Oh,
one.
really quick.
The next one is 30,000. That's not part of our operations. That's capital. So when 3 MacBooks were bought
Came out of
for
that.
15,000,
New
that's
equipment.
the line that they would come out of. We talked about that and thought, you know, 1 Mac and upgrade 1 studio camera each year kind of thing. We're in the right ballpark.
Right.
Now, that is not part of our operational expense. We don't have income to pay for that. That comes out of our funds.
Mhm.
But if somebody gives us space for a new studio, this is going to get silly.
Mhm.
We're reasonably confident we don't stand a snowball's chance in our get new space in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
So that's the 30K. Nobody wants
So
to
does
change that.
30K still seem reasonable?
Yeah.
You said the MacBooks is what cost the 15,000.
Yeah.
But you're not, what do you project? You'll need in as far as expenses, do you think? You said cameras.
Definitely cameras, but that could come out of the equipment maintenance and supplies, because they're not very expensive cameras
Uh-huh.
that we're looking for.
Well, we talked
The
about.
studio quality cameras
Right.
would probably come out of new equipment.
I hadn't looked at this line prior to me looking at the line above it, so, you know, when we're talking about hardware that we might have to buy to improve our broadcasting, maybe that would come out of the new equipment line as opposed to the equipment maintenance supplies line.
It could, depending on the cost, and
So maybe we wouldn't push the 12,000 on that, to maybe just put 2,000 on top of that, not 4,000 on top of that. Push that to 14,000.
Yeah, I'm a little confused too, like where things would
Yeah.
come from, which category.
It's not always so cutting. Well, we're talking about an
New
unknown
equipment.
intangible yet, that, you know, we know we have to get stuff to fix our piece of the problem. We
Mhm.
just don't know what that's gonna cost. We
Exactly.
wanna have some money on hand for that. Where should that come from?
that would. I mean, let's just put it this way, an encoder, a good encoder is anywhere from $800 to $1,000. So,
So it's not really capital.
so
expense.
it's not a capital expense, so that would come out of
Yeah.
equipment, maintenance and supplies.
What is the price range that makes it a capital expense?
Typically, it's over 10,000, 5,000, 10,000.
I don't know what you use here, but we've never seen it written down, so.
Okay, I was curious.
So what do we want to do?
I think
Well-
it is 10.
Is it
Okay.
as high as that?
I think so.
Well-
Because we've done 2 or 3 of the Eagle House, they have to be at least that.
Sure, it's not $7,322 and
And 2
51.
And 2 cents, yeah. Well, I kind of agree with Paul in that we might want to put the money in new equipment rather than. But then what you're just saying, maybe we do need it in equipment.
Well, there's
Maintenance and
30,000,
supplies.
there's 30,000 in new equipment. So
Yeah,
if something broke on the casters, you know, that we have to pay for, not the memory. If somebody trips over one of the studio cameras and we need to get one
Mm.
straight away. It's that kind of thing.
Right.
I don't mind if we want 3 good consumer level cameras that they're in there and we leave the other one at 12,000. But it would still leave that at 30,000, which seems a
Okay.
reasonable number to me.
all
That's
right,
where you're gonna take the money from.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So are we going to change the 16,000 back to
12,
12?
You good with that, Paul?
Yes,
Thank you.
Well, just a note, if we're getting the consumer cameras, they can be $1,200, $1,500.
I know it's right.
If you get 3,
I know, right?
It's 4,500.
4,500
So
out
it's
of the
okay.
12,000.
No, it's out of the 30,000. Take it this
This
way.
is
Oh,
all
we're gonna
just
take it out of the 30.
going back to Steve's point that we
Okay.
want to make sure that we've got the money set aside
yes,
For
to.
whatever we need to
Whatever
do
we
next
need.
year.
yeah,
I know,
That's all.
it's a tough one, but it doesn't affect the bottom line. In
Right.
terms of
Right, so that's really,
Means-
So each category can be,
income and operations. have
the
to-
12 and the $30,000
Right.
can be used.
So-
for equipment.
you don't do this in practice, but you could, when I was running my budgets as department head, I was allowed to deficit lines as long as I would come out okay on the bottom line.
yeah.
We do that all the time.
And you can transfer can you, I mean, when I worked for
We do,
the city of Bedford, I could
Yeah.
transfer line items.
You would school
So
out.
we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Okay, moving right along. The indirect costs is basically the benefits. And the way that comes together is in the absence of a production technician, we have to assume that benefits for health is for a family of 2 adults and no more than 15 kids and 5 dogs. I don't remember what the rules are,
Mhm.
but it comes out to $25,000. And we don't have that person yet. In the event somebody comes in without a family, it would change the numbers, but this is taken on the first day of the financial year, so the 1st of July. Joe is also benefiting, so Joe's benefits are part of that number, and that's a number that's the best we can come up with at the moment, because we don't know what the new health rates are. That'll be given to us by the finance department.
Mhm.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
So,
Oh, good.
This is really.
However, this is, the number under prorated is not correct.
Oh, no, don't look at that.
That is an incorrect number.
Okay, yeah.
The 47,808, which was charged this year,
And that's for the whole
is
year.
for myself and
Yeah.
a production technician. Now, because we don't have one hired, let's say we don't. I hope this is not the case, but let's say we don't have one hired by the end of the year. Accounting will give us back into our retained earnings, whatever wasn't spent from the indirect costs for that person.
You get a rebate.
There you go. That's one way of putting it. Good job, Steve.
And that just goes to the.
But this
general-
number covers if
No,
we have
no.
one.
Our funds.
Right.
So we
Don't say
keep it
general
there.
funds in this.
So
case.
give it the 49.
It's fine. The odds are,
We have to.
hopefully we spend it, but
You know, the spend,
but if we don't.
End of the school year, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I had to spend
understanding something. This is our budget. This all comes from cable TV money. And yet you're a town employee and we have your salary, and an indirect cost for benefits. That's coming out of our budget. So how are you a town employee if you're not paid by the town?
We're a town department,
Yeah,
Okay.
therefore I become a town employee.
actually, we're all town employees,
Mm,
sadly.
okay, I'm just a little confused.
Yeah,
A lot
but
of,
that's,
a lot of this is
I think
driven,
But you have to think of it, as we have our own money source.
We
Yeah,
do,
We're
yeah,
not paid for by the town. We get our money through a different thing.
right,
Legally, to make sure that all your rights are covered, you are a town employee, so she has the $1 million policy, you know, there's other perks that go with it.
yeah, and plus.
But she is
liability
not,
Insurance.
although she is a town employee, she works for PAC, they get their money somewhere else.
Yeah,
So we give the town the money to pay her and her expenses.
yeah, okay, I get
And then
it that
you
way,
get all the perks of the town. There are insurance things, there are things you get that are
yeah.
not monetarily, but there are things you get.
I get what
And
you're
they-
saying, okay,
They provide her health insurance so
Yeah.
that we don't have to look
Right,
at Blue
that's in
Cross
there.
and say,
Oh,
okay, we have one person.
Right,
right.
They go, oh, good.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? It's collective
Right.
bargaining kind of.
yes, okay, I get it, so we're
Mhm.
giving the town the money to pay for her,
Her,
Mhm.
but the town provides
the benefits.
all the benefits
Yeah.
and services and the
And
tax, the W-4 forms and the.
Protections,
And the
because, yeah,
protection.
And
Okay,
actually,
thank you.
the budget reporting, town does that for you too, they do the budget reporting for you,
yeah,
They give you
Town-
numbers.
they gave you, the town does a budget report.
absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So some of the
No.
overhead, yes.
there's a line underneath that 49,000 that says 212,500,
Right.
which so far we've adjusted down by $200,
Mm.
but that's all. So that number for the moment, there's some we still have to review, but I will show you why that's important in a moment. Okay, underneath that, it's the same number plus 30,000. Because our
30,000.
operations and our capital are kept separate. Okay,
So that's the overall.
I'll show you where some of these come from. The 205,000 below that is my best guess at what Comcast are going to give us this coming financial year. And I can show you why I think that. The interest, because the politicians keep playing around with things like this, I left it basically what we had, double what we got. Do you remember what we did with that, Joe?
I'm sorry, under what?
Oh, no, the interest, you gave me the interest payments. I took the last 6 of them that we'd actually had and doubled it to get this 6,600. So
Oh.
that's interest on our funds,
Enterprise fund, yeah.
enterprise funds. Good job. So our income budget, so that's the monies we have coming in for operations and not for capital, is 211,470. He says doing a spreadsheet thing in his head. Are we good with that?
Yep.
The
And the very
difference,
bottom line,
$200.
yeah,
the very bottom line is the difference between our income and operations is $830, which really means $630 now. So, Joe, we did a good job. We got real close.
We got close.
I mean, are they supposed to zero out?
They shouldn't exceed.
They shouldn't exceed, okay, so the
It
parentheses.
shouldn't be negative.
Right, okay,
So if you look at this, the pretty sheets, these are easy to read. And you find
Just a question, when the town, when there's a problem with the studio, when they fix the holes, they pay for that? We don't pay for that, do we?
that comes out of our rent. See, that's the reason we should keep paying the rent, which I hate to say, but they don't charge us that.
Okay, but so there's no line item for
Right.
repairs or anything.
No, that's part of being a town department
ooh,
and asbestos law. Don't talk to me about this. So this is the
Why is there,
preamble
yeah,
because it comes before the amble.
well, that's a stretching exercise.
With a name like Walker, I know what to amble is.
yes,
Hey, let me have my fun with this, will you?
yes.
oh, here we go, now we're telling them that we were, it's all
Yeah.
our money.
I know, that's what I was trying to tell
I
you.
love it. That's great,
Yep,
right up
So-
front in the amble,
The blue words, Joe, we said we'd try and improve the wording. You remember?
That's right.
I don't know if they're good or if anyone wants to change them, but it's what Paul brought up earlier, PAC revenue restricted for our capital and operations and doesn't affect town budgets.
Yeah.
okay, why, fitting out, how do you see that as different from equipping? It sounds redundant to me,
Equipping?
but I,
Oh, sorry, I hadn't got there yet. Yeah.
Oh.
We're on the first line.
oh, I thought you,
I know you're Johnny.
A what?
Johnny-
Dash
Johnny
ahead.
right ahead of
If
everybody.
any, I tell you what, with this slide, anybody wants to rephrase it, send it to me.
oh, I was
Don't
just gonna
copy
say for
everyone else.
fitting
But,
out just equipping.
So the franchise fee is our principal source. I was going to do PLE just for the fun of it.
And that's nice because in 2 sentences, he stated that our money comes from Comcast,
Yes,
Yes, I know.
2 different ways,
I know.
and that was very nice,
yes,
very nice.
And then we get,
Anybody,
I
right,
get interest monthly from the funds reserve. And I put this because it's possible there are some people who think that money is accessible to
Yeah.
them
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
town.
Right.
And it is for fitting out and equipping the new studio.
I would just say equipping.
Oh, fitting out is walls and soundproofing and things. Equipping is
Oh, just
cameras and
equipment.
control
Okay.
boards.
restricted is a bit.
So the next one shows actual Comcast fee income. This one's good
That
because
shows a
people talk
decrease.
about cable cutting and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I took all of them. The third column shows the ups and downs.
Mhm, That's good.
It's somewhat unpredictable, but these are real numbers. And I took an average of all of them. And then right at the bottom, the annual calendar year 22.
Quick,
Uh,
question on the table above actual income. Would it be helpful, since it's a report to the town, to have a small little box that sort of explain what the income actually is?
What says that at the top?
No, but based on
Comcast fee.
consumer
Oh, you mean,
Yeah, what's it based
Actual
on?
Comcast fee income
do.
based
It's a little
on,
box, it's, you know.
or just make a sentence
actually, you
number
know what?
Or maybe
That
it's
should go on the first, this one.
based on consumer.
No, we have to do it legally.
Okay.
It's based on
Yep.
5% of video
Yeah.
service.
Yes, put that in there.
Percent.
Video service
Subscribers,
income
yeah.
of Comcast serving people in the town.
You and me, we get our channel later. Huh?
Okay, so people are understanding that, they're good with that.
Well,
Moving right along. I then summarize this stuff. Where I put the interest one in here, I didn't. The interest one's not in them.
you got $2 on the.
I can. I do,
On page 2,
yeah, there were probably 3 at one point. The anticipated income Comcast, I just rounded it up a little bit because it's sort of where we're at with these numbers. They're kind of interesting.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they are.
The interest, I have a calculation, which I haven't put in here, it's in my file somewhere, came out to 6,600. Now that's assuming Jay Powell doesn't do anything really silly in either direction. I would have a preference that we take all of that money and just invest it in something like Apple and wait for them to give us a studio. Can you imagine what we'd have for a studio if we did that?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the total. So 211,670 is the number for our operations, not capital, that we try not to exceed.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, good with that?
Yeah.
Now, the next sheet I haven't attempted to update, and I printed with this size, especially for the elder members of this committee,
Yes.
because I can't read the damn thing either.
Oh, yeah.
And it says to be updated on it, as
Right,
does the
okay,
next
yeah,
one.
yeah.
The fringe indirect cost is provided to us
Mhm.
by finance, so I don't know how to do that one yet.
Well, I see you've got down the production technician.
Yeah, we have to do that. So the summary budget, I have not redone this form, but that's what'll be in there.
Mhm.
That was fun last week.
What's operations X salaries?
Excluding salaries.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't know what that. I would be EXCL maybe, but
No,
Yeah, that's
General-
confusing.
general accounting practices, that's,
It might look better if you put operations parentheses excluding salary.
yeah, that's,
depends what fits in the table, but yeah. I
I
think
think that.
or EXCL.
Okay, and the fund, I haven't even attempted that one yet. That's how much, and it goes through a strange process where Massachusetts State Revenue Department has to qualify it as being put back into the fund because we didn't use it. We don't even know about that till August typically, so. As a quick update, the digital streaming, I'm following this, that's what I've got so far on what's going on with digital streaming. That's what Mass Access is trying to put in to counteract the loss of revenues for cable cutting, so that digital streaming of similar programming is covered.
Because they'll come in through the wires and the poles in our town.
They're getting very careful with this because one of the problems is 5G doesn't use the wires the same way. And
Oh,
if they start moving to 5G, which is I suspect what T-Mobile has done, because they're running into an interesting problem.
mhm.
It doesn't use our rights of way, but it does use our ether.
Hmm.
Our airspace, yeah,
They
Yeah.
have legal people looking into a lot of this stuff.
yeah.
You're right. Oh, that was the chair. Good.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So that will get updated. I'm gonna try and join the call. It's 10 o'clock this Friday.
Oh, first Friday calls.
First Friday is on the second Friday this month. Yeah,
Oh, I'd like to join that call too.
you should have had an email on it. I can send it you. It's got the link in it.
Yeah, that would be great.
But I'm gonna try and join that and listen in. Have we paid our fee this year?
I was holding it to pay something else with it. So it just went in today.
Okay, because we show up in the wrong color on the map. He sent the map around to the
Oh,
people who paid. And we were still white. Okay, now if people are okay with this, we're not voting on the budget at this point.
Mhm.
We're taking it with us with as much understanding as Joe and I can give you in short term. Please do go through it. Either send questions, you can send them to both me and Joe, but not to everybody. And we will try and put this together. If you're confident, and I am just saying that, we need to finish this at the next meeting,
Mhm.
because after that, when they
I suppose you did a really great job
Yeah.
pulling together
Yeah.
the draft outline. It's
We,
great.
Yeah.
we just changed some numbers from last year, but thank you, appreciate that.
You're all
Sneaking a few
pros.
more slides about.
Well, the bad news is this is usually only used for FinCom.
The whole town doesn't get to see that.
No.
They have had in the
Always.
past, when if somebody objects to the numbers being
Yeah.
put together and voted on once.
They just, it's the warrant, they
if
see,
people-
that's it.
Right,
So
so
I'm
that's,
just
so the
trying to get
warrant's
that,
gonna
yeah.
be, we're asking for a tiny amount of money, right?
No. But anyway,
Okay.
this,
Transfer.
if someone objects to us being in the bundle of monies that are all approved at once at town meeting. I have this put on Heather's computer so I can use it if necessary. That's why it's actually written more for the town meeting
Yeah,
than it is for FinCom.
Yeah.
Now, the very last one, well, you can probably read, is that the way? Yeah. We've had confusion with this every year. Let me explain to you an even bigger confusion. Our meeting with FinCom takes place 3 days after the town warrant closes.
Mm,
I noticed that. Yeah, that's right.
I've raised that. It turns out, if you phrase it this way, so there's no number in it, then when the warrant booklet comes out, the number's elsewhere in the booklet, and it is up on the screen as well. So when they need to vote on it or anything like that. So we can do this warrant right now, which I will read so that it's on the record. The proposed warrant is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money to fund the financial year 24 public educational government PEG access enterprise operating and capital budgets, or take any other action relative thereto. And it's submitted by us. Hopefully FinCom and the select board will recommend it as well, which has been the normal process. I would like to send this, I believe it goes to Heather and Elaine. Does anyone know?
mm.
Does that sound
Yeah.
right, Joe?
yeah,
So for this, I would like to have a motion that we send
So
this
moved.
in,
Second,
seconded by Faith. Did you get that? Any further discussion? Hearing none by roll, because we're on Zoom. Paul,
I.
Pete,
Aye.
Steve,
I.
Faith,
aye.
me, aye. So I will send that in right now, because if you miss this, we're in a bunch of trouble,
Yeah,
and I don't know,
seems like we go through this every year.
we have to.
No, but I mean. The having to word it ambiguously
Oh,
because
yeah.
we don't have,
Because
The
our money
approval.
doesn't. It's not town money.
Yeah.
There's
That's
a,
why they put us
it's a
last.
sewer.
Yeah.
enterprise, it's the
Yeah.
same way. Sewer enterprise is the same way because their money is separate from the town, so. It doesn't affect the town.
yeah,
You could put a $4 million budget in, as long as you pay for it, they don't care.
yeah,
They shouldn't, but that doesn't mean somebody.
Well,
wants that.
but somebody in the town.
But
did
if
that.
another
Anyway.
department said, we want, wait, this has to be a public meeting that can be changed.
Yeah.
So. That was what I got as a feedback on that.
So having totally lost control of the meeting,
I'd say no.
Drone policy is next.
how are we doing?
So can this
So-
just be simple, and can we just make a motion, to adopt the language as, written here?
That's right.
Yeah,
Oh, I
I'll
believe
make
that
that
can be
motion.
made.
Could you read that then? So it's in the record?
Lunenburg Public Access Cable PAC Staff or volunteers are not permitted to use drones for video or still photography or ask drone operators for these services for past event videotaping and recording. Drone operators who at events that other media producers or private citizens may access for coverage and who use their own personal drones to videotape or photograph events that are also being covered by PAC may voluntarily offer their video footage and or photography to PAC at no charge for use in their productions, yes.
Sounds good.
Were there any apostrophes in there?
So moved.
Oh, I like that. Thank you, Pete.
Second,
We have a second. Any further discussion on said drone policy?
We
Excellent.
spent
I
a
think we've done
good
that
amount of
sufficiently.
time last meeting and reviewing it since then
In that
individually.
case, round table, I assume that Paul probably thinks this is a good idea
Aye.
as he wrote it.
Well, we work together.
Steve,
No, but you.
aye. Steve,
aye.
Faith,
Aye,
Steve, aye. Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you,
I
Paul.
make a motion.
Thank you,
Wait,
Paul.
wait.
Wait, we have
He's in
PAC
charge.
staff use of personal equipment. Motion to
Table it.
table.
Yeah, just
Good motion.
quickly,
Doesn't require discussion.
we are finding too many people have such a thing, but we'll come back, table it.
Yeah,
Usually the budget meeting takes over everything.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
okay.
that was tabled.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, I like that.
Second.
No,
Oh,
we
we don't
can't
need a
do that.
second.
We have to do the date of the next meeting first.
The next meeting is March 6th at 6 PM in the Sodolnik Conference Room, Lunenburg Town Library.
Would anyone mind if it was a little later, or can't we do that? The reason I asked is the Lunenburg
Oh, building.
Building Committee meets on the first and third Mondays of the month, except when they don't. And I try and
Which is awesome.
stop it,
What time is that meeting?
6 o'clock.
It starts at 6.
Well, what I try and do is be there for at least part of it, because if they have a packed question comes up, I don't want them inventing the
Yes.
answers to it. I want them to ask me.
Would 6:30 work?
I'm,
7?
well, it's what works for people, and I don't know how long the library's open.
Or since,
I will go ask that.
The library's closed.
Everything's.
We're out.
yeah.
We just.
We have to go out the side door.
So it's o'clock, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Oh,
not
my
usually
husband's
this long.
still waiting for me.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I can
What-
read
what-
anytime that night.
Now, does it have to be at night? I mean, we're
Well,
retired.
I know, but if people wanted to come in, we do have to cater to that. If public wanted to attend.
Well, they'll get notice when the meeting is, so.
I guess. I don't mind,
Why not
I
have it-
want to put it on the table.
Why not have it at 5 and
I'm
end by
thinking that.
6?
Ooh, now there's an
You
interesting
can
thought.
spend your time.
I'm good, but I prefer that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
This right at supper time is lousy.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
You know,
we don't,
what are you looking at?
just-
do we have a
Conrad-
big agenda coming up for the next meeting? We spent a lot of time tonight on the budget.
oh, yeah, normally we're at 1 hour.
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't matter to me.
30
Yeah.
or 4, I mean, 4 to 6 at the latest.
Well,
We
if it,
wouldn't go 2
if
hours.
it takes
normally.
longer, then I'm not gonna go to the.
Right.
Lunenburg building meeting. If we get done in an
Yeah,
hour,
that's
I'll be there.
fine.
So I'm good with 5 o'clock. I like all good meetings that are well managed by the chair. It only lasts 1
We'll
hour.
be done.
This
So
would
I
be-
need to,
If we're gonna change it, though, we're gonna change it for keeps, not just one meeting.
I'm good
Just
with
switching
that as
back
well.
and forth, I
Yeah.
don't like.
Yeah,
And.
Monday afternoon is the only afternoon I can work with my grandchildren for music lessons.
oh,
Oh,
that's important.
I would be late
Oh, we don't
Most-
want you late.
for most meetings for 5 o'clock.
well, another suggestion might be we move to the second Monday of the month. Because that doesn't interfere with the
Yeah.
civil
But
building.
you have,
Oh, was that a problem with you, Pete?
don't you have a second Monday of the month?
Was that an issue?
I can bring it on.
Did
Oh.
you have,
Baseball?
no, the Eagle House meeting?
Eagle House, that's in the morning.
Oh, okay, never mind.
We always meet in the morning.
Because if we did that, we could
That'd
stay
be
at
fine.
6 o'clock.
You want to go to the second?
Okay, Joe?
I'm okay with that.
Then, do you want to do it just for next month or for the next couple of months? Because I have to change the room reservation.
Right.
Oh,
I just,
You like consistency.
Doesn't
He
like
likes
everything.
I like to
consistency.
know, I like to mark my calendar for the year. So
Well, that's why I'm asking, because I have to change the room.
if we
reservation.
change it to second Monday,
I don't know if it's
Why don't
available.
we see this? Yeah,
So,
See if we-
Pending availability,
yeah.
Yeah, if it's available, would you do it for the year,
sure.
the rest of the year? And let everybody know.
we don't know it's available.
will we be
Next
meeting
week.
back over to
Next
pass
month
it
anyway,
at
do
some
we?
point?
That's.
No, I have to go for 5,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's available for 5 o'clock, but I don't know if it's available for the second one.
Oh, it's not.
I've gone through June.
Yeah, it's the light, but.
But it's also others.
Yeah.
It's a funky building, that is for sure, I agree, yes. Okay.
And the health concerns too. It's expensive.
So that would be 13.
That's six. I put a lot of hours in there.
I know, but it's like,
Still with us.
like Joe is saying that it's coming through up through the floors. We don't.
Where I taught, it came up through the floors for 40 years.
At this point, I will entertain a motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, we already have them.
I already did.
we did have a motion. Should have done.
Second to adjourn.
We're adjourned.
Apparently needs.
John.
I check England's parliamentary
I'll be
procedure.
Vanna White, bye-bye.
Okay, so I will, in the next couple of days, come over here and